Yo, what is going on, y'all? It is your boy AT from AT's Barstool, and today we are back with another video. And today we are back with episode 14. And if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We are almost up to 50 subs. And with that being said, y'all, let's get into it. And the first topic we are going to be talking about here today is some of the best undrafted free agent signings in this year's NFL draft. We all know the NFL draft was last week, and we already know a lot of things happened, such as Shador getting drafted by Cleveland and Cam Ward being #1 overall and Travis Hunter going to the Jags and so on. But we will get to that stuff later, and let's talk about the best undrafted free agents, which the first guy we are going to talk about here is Miami wide receiver Xavier Restrepo getting picked up by the Tennessee Titans. I honestly think this is a really, really good move for Tennessee due to the fact that Cam Ward is already at Tennessee, and Xavier Restrepo is a really good receiver who had over 1,000 yards and played. During his time in Miami, his stats last season was 69 catches. He had over 1,127 yards, and he also had 11 receiving touchdowns, which is really good. And he can really beat you off the press, and he's a guy that can run zig routes really well, and he can do a lot of things too, which I definitely think he is going to be a really dangerous receiver, and people passing up on him is going to really regret that. And I highly think that Tennessee got themselves one, and now Cam Ward and Restrepo are still on the same team, just in Tennessee now. So yeah, if there's anybody to watch out for, Xavier Restrepo is definitely one of them. And the next guy that I think is going to be a steal, well, is a steal out of all the undrafted free agents, is Desmond Watson. He is a really good player. He is a defensive lineman who's over 400 pounds. Really good defensive line. He can really stop the run. He may not be the fastest guy, but he can definitely stuff the run really well. Pretty good tackler. And he's going to be a really guy who's going to be really hard to get off when you're trying to run the ball. But other than that, though, Desmond Watson, he's not a bad player. He's a really good player and really talented. He also can get after the quarterback if you need him to. And yeah, we'll just see what goes on and all that. So yeah, despite having a not really productive season from Desmond Watson, where he only had 20 tackles and a pass deflection, he was solid though. I mean, he seems a solid player, about 449, really big guy. If he could get his speed up and still keep his strength or whatever, and if he get more fit at 400 pounds or whatever, then he can definitely be a problem. I could see him be a big problem in the NFL. He has a lot of upside and a lot of potential. So we will see what happens with Desmond Watson and how he does. And the next guy who I think is going to be a really good undrafted free agent signing, we're going to stay in Tampa here, and that is Shiloh Sanders. Shiloh Sanders, the 6', 195-pound safety out of Colorado, the son of Deion Sanders. He was a really good safety this year, despite his defense not being the best this year or not being at the highest level. I definitely think that he will be, if not one of the better safeties in this draft class, possibly. I'm not saying he will, but he could possibly. He has good potential. His age is a little bit questionable, as he's currently 25, and he's going to be a rookie. And in his years at Colorado, he was not bad, despite only having one interception all year. He had a lot of tackles. He had about 45 solo tackles this year, and last year he had about 54, where he has 67 total in both. Or not 67 total. He has 67 total tackles in both seasons, in the 2 seasons that he was at Colorado. Watch this film. He was a pretty solid player. He also was a really hard hitter, forced fumbles and all that, knocked the ball out. I definitely think he'll be like a Ryan Clark type player if he reaches his full potential. And yeah, he's a really good football player. I honestly think he gets so much hate because he's Deion Sanders' son, but I honestly think from what I've seen from the film and from what I've seen in person, not in person, but like live TV, him watching play, I could definitely see that he is pretty legit. And I don't think he will be a bad fit for the Buccaneers, especially due to the fact that they're going to have their safeties getting old. So yeah, I definitely see them, or Well, Shiloh is old, but still, I definitely see Shiloh not being a bad player for Tampa. All right. So the next guy I also see being a really good signing, undrafted free agent signing, is Marcus Yarns from Delaware, the 5'11", 190-pound running back from the University of Delaware. Despite playing in the FCS, which is not the best competition for him, or not the best competition as a unit for Division One programs, Marcus Yarns did not have a bad season. He had two pretty good seasons. His last 2 years at UD was pretty good. My bad. He had 125 carries, 940 yards, and 15 rushing touchdowns in his junior year. In his senior year, he had about 133 carries for 844 yards and only 6 rushing touchdowns. And with Marcus Yarns, he's a really good player. He just has consistency problems. And not only that, the reason why I think Marcus Yarns can be a pretty solid signing, if not a steal, amongst all undrafted free agents, is due to the fact that not only can he play running back and he's a elusive back or whatever, but he can also catch the ball out the backfield from what his receiving stats say and from what I watched on film too, or his film. He had 24 catches for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns, which is pretty dang good for a running back. And that was in his junior year. As his senior year, he did take a step back a little, having 17 catches for 297 and 5 receiving touchdowns, which is pretty impressive. And he was really good. First team all conference in the CAA. And he was not a bad player. He was one of Delaware's best players and definitely produced a lot, big time, when he played for UD. So yeah, I definitely see Marcus Yarns being a really good running back. So him, do not sleep on him. I don't care about the size. He is going to be a dog. And the Saints, they definitely got one in him. So yeah, don't forget, don't forget my summer cast is coming up too. My 10-day summer cast. I still have a couple spots left. So if you want to be on the summer cast, please DM me. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel too. I'll really appreciate it. We need to get up to 50 subs before the summer. And with that being said, let's let's keep going. And at last but not least, the best free agent signing, and I think this is probably a top 2 free agent signing out of all the ones I just said, is the Atlanta Falcons signing Nick Nash, the wide receiver out of San Jose State. He had a really good year and definitely put his name on the map, but sadly he did not get drafted somehow. And he was an absolute steal for Atlanta. I definitely think with his 6'3 frame, standing about 195 pounds, I definitely think this California receiver is definitely going to ball out. And in his senior year, he had 104 catches for 1,382 yards and 16 receiving touchdowns. Absolutely dominated this year. And he was one of the best players, if not the best player on San Jose State this year, as he made the team look good, helped the team out really well. And he also is a guy that can definitely go up for them 50-50 balls, make it up to a 90-10 instead. And I definitely think this Nick Nash kid can definitely make an impact if he gets a chance with the Atlanta Falcons and officially makes the 53-man roster. But other than that, I think that'll be it for this topic. Now, the next topic that we are going to be talking about here is the top 3 steals of this year's NFL draft. I know what y'all going to say. Oh, there's some obvious steals like Shador Sanders and all of them, but we're not here to talk about Shador until later on. But this topic, we're talking about the top 3 steals outside from him. And with that being said, let's get into it. Now, the first steal in the draft that I honestly think this was a great steal, and that was none other than Arizona State running back Cam Scatabo from, well, he is from Arizona State, but the Giants ended up drafting him in the 4th round, and he was the 3rd pick in the 4th round, drafted by New York, as I said earlier. And in his seasons at Arizona State and Sacramento State, he had over 17,000 yards. He had over 17,000 yards and 21 touchdowns in his final season at Arizona State. He was a really good player, especially in the pass game, where he had over 605 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. And not only that, he also had that incredible game against Texas, which led them to a win. Other than that, though, he played his heart out, and having him on New York is going to be really good. And I definitely think he was a big time steal. I had him going in like the third round, possibly second round, but he ended up getting picked in the fourth round. And I definitely think that his leadership, his leadership in the locker room and all that is going to help the team out big time. And I definitely think he's going to be a really good player who's just going to be hyped up. And he is a pretty good all around player, despite having not the fastest 40 time. Yeah, despite his speed, I definitely think he's going to be a really, really talented player that is going to make an impact on the Giants in the next couple of years. And the next draft steal that I definitely think, or a guy who has been a draft steal, is Kevin Winston Jr., the safety out of Penn State. I definitely think with his 6'2", 205 frame, he is definitely going to be a guy who's going to get interceptions and stay over top of the play. And not only that, he can come down and make a tackle if he wants to. This is a really good player, well-rounded. Despite being injured this year for most of the year, I definitely think he is going to be a really good player. And in his second year at Penn State, he had 60 tackles, 5 pass deflections, and an interception. He was really good. And then this year, he had 13 tackles and only 1 forced fumble before getting injured. And with that being said, I think he is going to be a big time steal. And the fact that Tennessee drafted him in the third round with their 18th pick, I definitely think he is going to be a really good player and he will cover the field really well. And yeah, we'll see what he does though, coming off injury. And then the next guy I think is a steal, and I think everybody can agree with me on this one, is the new Philadelphia Eagles linebacker, Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. He was a really good player. This kid was a monster. He had over 119 tackles, 55 solo, 64 of them were assists. He had 2 pass deflections, 5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles, including an interception. He can do it all. And there's a reason why he got picked in the first round, and he was the 31st pick. This guy, he's a really good player. And if there's anything that he just added on to that Eagles defense, is depth at that linebacker position. And not only that, I definitely think that he can possibly start. And now this team has a lot of good defensive linebackers such as him, Zach Bond, and N'Kobe Dean, which is going to be a really good core. And then the rest of the Eagles defense is just really good with the secondary and D line. And just adding Jahad Campbell just made this team way more dangerous than they are now. And I definitely feel like this Eagles team can possibly go back to back and go ahead and beat whoever is in their way. So yeah, definitely see that happening. Jahad Campbell, what do I think as him as a player? He's a fast linebacker. He's a guy that can come downhill and he's going to knock a lineman off his feet when blitzing, and also a guy who's going to make tackles and can also get an interception if he wanted to, and just play really well. Just play great defense, great physical defense, and I highly think this is a great pick for Philly, especially due to the fact that they need more room and just need more havoc on that defensive side. So getting him in the first round, that is really dangerous of getting Jahad Campbell. So yeah, I definitely see that happening. Um, Definitely see him being a star linebacker in this league a couple years from now. And yeah, that's really it for me. And now the next topic that we are going to be talking about here on this channel is the winners and losers of this year's NFL draft. And there's been a lot of, surprising picks, a lot of people getting picked up higher than I thought, and a lot of people getting picked up lower than I thought. And with that being said, let's start off with the losers first. The first team I think that is going to be losers is the Indianapolis Colts. I don't think they had that good of a draft outside of getting Tyler Warren. They did get DJ Giddens from Kansas State, which they do need some running back depth. I feel like he's a solid player. Jalen Travis, and I didn't really like that pick, but hey, they need line, so yeah. And other than that, they didn't really fill out the offensive guard and linebacker position, which I think they really need to work on. And the fact they didn't get none of those or none of that, I don't think it was a good draft for them. Outside from the Tyler Warren pick, which they did need a tight end, and he was the best tight end available, so might as well get Tyler Warren. So the Tyler Warren pick, I really liked it. Everything else, I didn't, and that's all I gotta say. I don't really gotta say much about the Colts. Okay, and now the winners on this, or the winner of this year's draft, or do I think it's going to be winners, is the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, they had a couple questionable picks. Well, not questionable. I think every pick was pretty valid except for the Dylan Gabriel pick and the Carson Schwarzenberg. I think that's how you say his name. Those two picks, they were really questionable. I don't think Dylan Gabriel should really be a third round pick. If not, I think he should have been a fifth or sixth round pick probably. But yeah, but other than that, those were the only two questionable. Everything else, I feel like they hit on. Mason Graham, defensive tackle, he's going to be up there with Myles Garrett. I definitely like that duo a lot, and I definitely feel like they are going to cause havoc in the AFC North. And then Kashawn Junkins from Cleveland, despite losing Nick Chubb, they got Kashawn Junkins, who's more healthy, if not elusive, and can catch the ball out the backfield. I definitely see this team taking a step forward next year, and also getting due to the fact that they got Shador Sanders, who is supposed to be, if not a top 10 pick, especially due to the fact that a lot of teams passed up on him and they really needed a quarterback, but they didn't get Shador, which was pretty crazy and questionable. But the one downside with Shador Sanders is his attitude problems and his locker room issues. But yeah, I definitely think this draft was pretty good. They also got Dylan Sampson to also pair up with Kashawn Junkins, and you also got Harold Fannin Jr., a tight end, pretty undersized, but he's not a bad tight end. He's going to be more of like a receiving tight end, a guy who could probably go out there play receiver maybe, and he's pretty fast for a tight end. So I definitely think the Browns overall did really well, except for the two picks in the second round with Carson and the third round with Dylan Gabriel. And I highly think that this Browns team can do better next year and probably win some games in the AFC North and probably cause a little bit of havoc. Not a lot, but a little bit of havoc and definitely go up further. So, yeah. Okay. Now, the next team I think that is losers, which I honestly think they highly are due to the fact that they picked this guy, is Seattle. They picked Gary Zabel. They picked him at number 18 out of North Dakota State. He's not a bad player, but picking him in the first round, if not being the top 20 pick when there's better guys out there at offensive guard, I feel like that was really, really questionable, and that's why I say they're losers, because Gary Zabel could be a hit or miss. I don't know. But I don't think it was a good pick for them. And other than that, that's really all it is. I mean, getting Jalen Milrow, that's not bad. And Nick Emmanuel from South Carolina, the safety, I think those were good picks. But overall, I don't think it was like they was just straight losers. Just off that Gary Zabel pick, I feel like they just end up having to be in here. But if they had another first round pick, or if not a better one, if they end up drafting like a Jackson Dart or probably Shador Sanders, something like that at quarterback, get that out the way first, or maybe get a better guard or tackle. I would say they are winners, but overall, I feel like they're losers. And also, Troy Horton, that was a really good pick. That was an absolute steal. Didn't really talk about it, but he was a good steal. And then, just overall, that first round pick, I feel like that was just a waste. And that first round pick completely drains down the fact that they was winners. I would say they're winners in this video, but I'll have to say losers just off that first round pick, especially due to the fact it was a top 20 pick. Now, the next team I think is winners is the Philadelphia Eagles in this draft. We already talked about Jahad Campbell earlier, of how good he is and how he's going to fit in their system really well. I already know. That is definitely the reason why they're winners, and getting him at 31st is kind of crazy. I thought he would be like at least 30 or something like that. I think, yeah. And they also got some other pretty good players. They didn't really feel that much needs, which I don't feel like they don't need to really fill much needs or whatever. But I feel like, getting Jahad Campbell and then also getting Ty Robertson from Nebraska, really underrated defensive tackle. Definitely them two picks right there got me, and I definitely think they are winners just off that. And just to keep it plain and short, Philly did a good job in this draft. And even though they don't really have that much needs, and they're coming off a Super Bowl win, just adding Jahad Campbell in the first round, that's just a really insane pick. And yeah, I already said it. This team is going to be legit again. So don't be surprised if Philly go back to the Super Bowl. That's it. Okay. Now, the next team I do think that are losers in this year's NFL draft is the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, the first two picks were pretty cool. Shamar Stewart, that's a good pick. They're gonna have him and Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson, and then they have Demetrius Knight Jr. at linebacker, which they do need some pass coverage and also pass rush, which is pretty good. But the fact they didn't go ahead and draft a corner, and that really concerns me, especially due to the fact that they had one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. And not drafting a corner in this year's draft when you had multiple guys like Benjamin Morrison, Will Johnson, and then you had like Kobe Bryant, Denzel Burke, which you could have got day two, day three, and they was there for a pretty long time during that time. That's just bad. I mean, they ended up deciding to get Taj Brooks. I mean Brooks, from Texas Tech, not a bad running back. But honestly, I feel like if they gotten a corner, I would say they are winners or probably average at best. But they did address the corner situation, and yeah, their defense. I mean, the front seven got better, but the secondary really needs help they because they look bad. They look terrible this year, and that was really was holding Cincinnati back from being in playoff contention. You have Joe Barrow, Jamar Chase on the offensive side of the ball with a pretty solid line, and then on the defense, you just got nobody. You got Hendrickson, and that's it. Now adding Shamar and Demetrius Knight Jr., not getting a single corner out there. You could have had Kobe Bryant. If you're not getting a corner, get a safety like Shiloh, something like that. You could have got better. But it is what it is. Cincinnati, they were definitely losers. And yeah, that was really it. And then my last team that I think is going to be winners, or not think, I think, or no, I 100% know they are and got a good feeling, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. My own team, my favorite team. I know, I know you guys may think I'm biased because I'm saying Pittsburgh, but I'm not. Pittsburgh actually did well. I was mad at first about the Steelers selection or whatever of not drafting a quarterback in the first round or second round. But then I also realized that there is also more things we have to worry about because we also got Derrick Henry, who's now in our division, and we play him 2 times a year. And not only do we play Derrick Henry, we play Lamar Jackson. And the fact they ended up getting three defensive players in the first 4 rounds, I highly, not first four, the first 5 rounds, I definitely think was good. Getting Derek Harmon, I watched this film, whatever. He's a really good run stopper, from Oregon, one of the best ones they had. And yeah, getting Derek Harmon, that was really good. I highly think that he's going to be a good run stopper. Is he going to be the Derrick Henry stopper? Not really. And also due to the fact that we are losing Cam Hayward, because not losing him, but he's close to retirement because he's 35. And we also got Yaya Black. He's another solid player from Iowa, solid defensive tackle. And he can also really stop the run really well. Probably play more of a nose guard type of defensive tackle. And yeah, not bad at all. Then getting Jack Sawyer, I feel like that was a little bit questionable, but he is a really good player and he can definitely force fumbles. And he's also going to add more to our depth. So getting him was good. And then in the third round, we got Caleb Johnson, really good running back, pretty much like a Le'Veon Bell type of guy, really patient. And he's not the fastest guy, but he's definitely a great ball carrier with great vision. And if he sees a hole, he's going to hit it. So yeah, and he can also break tackles, and he's more of like a power back, so like a Najee Harris. And I feel like that's something we need. We need a power back, elusive back, and a receiving back. And since Najee is gone, we draft Caleb Johnson, and I definitely think it's going to be really well and fine. And then getting Will Howard in the 6th round, I mean, it didn't really matter because, yeah. But it was pretty questionable, but it is what it is. We get Will Howard either be a depth piece or be a starter, depend, we don't know. And yeah, I think Pittsburgh's a winner, though. And at last but not least, I do got one more winner. This is my last opinion, and that will be the New York Giants. The New York Giants, I honestly think they were a winner, and the reason being is they got Adul Carter, 3rd overall. He's one of the most athletic and one of the bigger edge rushers on this list, or not on this list, but in the draft. And he's pretty much a Micah Parsons 2.0 out of Penn State. And getting Adul Carter was a big time hit for them. And also, not only that, getting Jackson Dart, which they really needed a quarterback, despite losing Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones wasn't all that good. They did sign Russell Wilson. Now they have Jackson Dart. So now they have a 1-2 punch, and then you have a third guy in Jameis Winston, who's going to be a mentor for Dart. Then the other thing they did hit on was Cam Scabito, which I already talked about. Really good on running back, very underrated. People mainly discredit him due to how slow he is, but his leadership and overall game is definitely really well. So I highly think he is a complete draft steal. And yeah, that's really it for this topic. The next topic is my opinion on this draft. This overall draft as a whole, I feel like it was a pretty good draft. Bunch of surprises. We had first overall pick. I knew or kind of knew it was Cam Ward. It was either Adul or Cam, one or the other. I don't think Travis Hunter was going number 1. And then a really big surprise, which the Browns traded back, or no, the Browns traded back, and the Jaguars traded forward and got Travis Hunter. And we almost seen a Shador Sanders Travis Hunter reunion if the Browns kept that pick, because everybody knew, or not everybody knew, but everybody was really surprised that Shador was going lower and lower and lower in the draft up until the 5th round in the 144th pick, where he got drafted by Cleveland, despite Cleveland already getting a quarterback. They had so many chances of getting Shador. It was insane. Whatever he said in that locker room, or not in the locker room, but whatever he said in the interview, definitely affected his draft stock. And that is my next topic too. His draft stock. What happened? Why did Shador go all the way down? Mainly due to the fact that Deion Sanders, Deion Sanders is his father, and not only that, the NFL, I would say they have a like-hate relationship, a love-hate relationship with him, with Deion Sanders, and I feel like it more has to do with Deion Sanders than Shador as a player. And the reason being they didn't want to get Shador or try to take that risk is because you're going to have all this drama with Deion, the brothers, or the Sanders brothers, and just the family in general. And I guess every team didn't want to take that risk of taking him, so they decided to pass up on him, and then the Browns ended up picking up Shador. Or the other theory, in my opinion, is due to the fact that Shador, he's a good player and all. He doesn't throw many interceptions, but he gets sacked a lot and holds on to the ball, and that's something you don't want to see your quarterback do. And he also dealt with injuries last year, where he got injured before before the bowl game or whatever, and all that stuff. But other than that, either one or the other. And with that being said, y'all, thank you guys for enjoying this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And if you want to be on the Summercast, DM me. Don't forget to do that too. And with that being said, thank you guys for enjoying this video. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.